And welcome everyone. Dave and Tiff back with you for another sports podcast. This is the week of the Super Bowl. So everything by default and almost by an unwritten code means we got to talk about the Super Bowl. So let's get that off our chest because what's funny? This past weekend where there was no football, you feel it, don't you? Because you had all this football leading up and that 1 week break. And I think because there wasn't as much of the hype and like when Super Bowl the week before, you have the Pro Bowl, you have the festivities that media converges on, the tons of press conferences. Because of the way of the pandemic and how things had to be kind of adjusted, there wasn't as much of that energy, it sense, during this past week leading up to the Super Bowl. What do you think?
I think you're right, and I think it's a little bit different as far as how sporting events are covered, like you said, and just the fact that a lot of these players enjoy the week of Super Bowl with all of the, like you said, all the festivities, all of the media obligations. Of course, for the fans, it's a week to converge on that city to enjoy it for that week leading up to the game. First time ever in Super Bowl history that a team gets to host and play in it. Kudos to the Buccaneers, but yesterday was a little bit different not having football.
Yeah, speaking of media, our guest today, by the way, is going to be someone from media relations at the University of Hawaii, from the media relations department, sports information. We'll get that straight. What is the appropriate way you're supposed to address them? But Eric Mathews, who we know well because he's our liaison with women's basketball at the University of Hawaii. He's kind of had this interesting career leading up to where he is now. He was in radio broadcasting before, so Eric Mathews will be joining us a little bit. Super Bowl. What's your prediction now? As I checked as of today, the line was Kansas City favored by 1.5. I don't know if you saw anything more recent than that.
I've seen Kansas City by as much as 3.
Yeah, I saw that too. What do you think?
But I mean that's to be expected because home teams usually are given a 3-point cushion. So basically, everybody's thinking this is a toss-up because it is being played at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Buccaneers. Who do I have? Well, I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. It's kind of hard for me to root for the Buccaneers. I'm not a Chiefs fan because when the Chargers were in San Diego, of course, AFC West rivalry. Well, since they're now in LA, I guess I'm pulling for the Chiefs just because of the Marcus Kemp factor, former Rainbow Warrior receiver who's on the roster. I wouldn't put it past me though if the Buccaneers found a way to win the Super Bowl like they did to get their way through the NFC playoffs and had a very impressive win at Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to pull for the Chiefs as well. And again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm a Rams fan, so I'm pretty happy that they have Matthew Stafford now as part of that blockbuster trade. But
Stat Padford.
Yeah, there you go. Hoping for 2021 to be a kick butt season for them. But I kind of think the difference might come down to the coaching. I think Andy Reid's and his staff may have the edge here, because of experience, not only in Super Bowls, but playoffs, that kind of
playoffs.
Prepare a team for playoffs, for the Super Bowl. So I'm going to lean toward Kansas City. Other football thing, locally here, Hula Bowl was played on Saturday, that college all-star game. No fans, but
Sunday.
Sunday, excuse me.
Sunday.
Yesterday from this recording on Monday. Possible last athletic event, football game at 45-year-old Aloha Stadium. Do you foresee that this is the last thing?
Where do you start? I unfortunately see it being the last football game played there. So many memories. Obviously, you're a bit older, so you have a lot more than I do. Just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you go from high school football, you go to UH football, obviously, of course, many Pro Bowls, other events, concerts. Major League Baseball was there for a couple games. Of course, the Hawaii Islanders called that facility home for many years. Monster truck rally events, you name it. Pretty much everything was there.
Yeah, and we brought this up. Remember a few podcast episodes ago where we said, okay, since Aloha Stadium made that announcement, no new bookings they're going to have. So University of Hawaii has to find a new home for foreseeably the next 3+ seasons.
Mm-hmm.
They came out with the announcement that we came up with well, you thought Maui War Memorial Stadium. I thought TC Ching Athletic Complex right on campus. Athletic Director Dave Matlin said they're going to use that. But we kind of talked about this, and the theory, my thought is, University of Hawaii, they're going to change it up. I don't know what the capacity they can make it up at TC Ching on campus. Maybe 25, maybe 15,000 to 20,000 or so. Whatever they can make, but it'll be an intimate setting, convenient, more students can attend. If that's successful, even after one season, I can foresee where the UH Regents, the board and all that, they say, you know what, let's invest and let's make a stadium right here on campus because we see what is the benefit right there in front of our eyes. And wouldn't that be a stickler to the Aloha Stadium Authority? Here they are with plans to make this entertainment district. University of Hawaii has been their major tenant, but they've had problems.
Yeah.
And budget for Hawaii, University of Hawaii has been a challenge because of what they have to pay to Aloha Stadium. Wouldn't it be a stickler if University of Hawaii tells Hawaii Stadium Authority, Aloha Stadium Authority, hey, we're going to play here on our campus.
Yeah, that could be a way to stick it to them. But I do like the fact of having a on-campus facility for football. Like you said, more students. And, yes, you have, issues with the parking structures, but you can make parking all throughout campus and have shuttles go, all throughout the game before and after and whatnot. Will there be noise? Yes. Will there be congestion? Yes. But at the end of the day, moving forward past these next 3 years, to me, it's tough to go from a 50,000 seat facility down to whatever the capacity is for the Clarence TC Ching Field complex. There's no way that's going to be 50,000. There's no way. The only way that could happen is if you completely redesign lower campus, and then you're putting your other sports in jeopardy because you're probably having to move, certain venues to accommodate for what is your bread maker, and that's football. For the time being, having 15 to 20,000 for this multi-purpose facility for the next 3 seasons, I think it's great. I think it's a nice Band-Aid on the situation at hand. But I think moving forward, and I totally agree with this point that Artie Wilson makes every single time people talk about facility for football. Always think big. Don't think small. Yes, the minimum is 15,000 to be an FBS member. Keep it at 50.
Yeah, that's a legitimate point. And you know who we could ask about that? They're his thoughts. Our guest coming up, Eric Mathews, who's coming up in just a couple of seconds. The word on the street regarding health is hydrate. The new word regarding that is live, spelled L-I-V. So get out and live life well with products and systems made with new technology that you simply add to or take with water. You hydrate, lose weight, cleanse your system, gain energy, and it is all natural. Go to mylivzone.com/Kawada to find out more. Live, L-I-V zone.com/Kawada. Let's all get out and live life well. Well, we're joined by someone who either enjoys talking to us a lot because we work with him a lot for women's basketball and University of Hawaii, or he's sitting there going, again.
These guys.
Get a break. But it's Eric Mathews from the Sports Information Department at the University of Hawaii. Eric, how's it going there?
I'm good, friends. How's the world on your side of the island?
We are doing just fine. You got to explain that shirt you're wearing, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang is the greatest hip-hop group that's ever been known to man. Are you not familiar with the Wu, Dave?
I'm not familiar with the Wu. No.
They've been around for almost 30 years. Actually, 2021, it is 30 years now.
I thought it was a martial art.
Well, I mean, the orientation of the group comes from Japanese art and martial arts. So, I mean, you are onto something. But
Okay.
no, Wu-Tang, straight out of Staten Island, New York, one of the greatest hip-hop groups ever affiliated, ever put together.
All right. See, I learn something every time I do one of these things. Now,
I apologize, Eric.
yeah. All of you guys under 40 years old, you got to give me a break here. Now, I was
They've
kind
been
of.
around 30 years. You have no excuse.
They have been that long, really?
Yeah, 1991.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is a long time. Okay, now let's get to some serious stuff here. Now, obviously, I introduced you earlier in our segment that you kind of had an interesting career path that led you to sports information at the University of Hawaii. Kind of summarize that path you've taken.
Oh, man. How much time we got here? Okay, so Spark Notes. I originally started in radio and television. And that was my original path of how I was going to go about my career. And I started in radio and television when I was 16. And I was an on-air personality on radio when I was 16.
Wow.
And I lasted in the business for about 9-10 years, almost a decade, I think. And I had a contract dispute when I worked for ESPN Radio Lexington in Lexington, Kentucky. And I worked every possible job that you could think of in radio and television, from on-air personality to production to program director to sales to imaging, all these different things. I did it in radio and television. I did a little bit with the SEC network when it first started. I worked for IMG for a year, and I worked on a contract under Conference USA in the Sun Belt. And the last time I checked, I have been on air in some capacity in 18 different states as a personality. So that's where a lot of it started. And when I was in radio, I did women's play-by-play for Eastern Kentucky University, which is a Division I school in the OVC, and right where I grew up. And I kind of got the bug to be in college athletics, and because I traveled and everything and did all that with EKU. So it was always in the back of my mind. But when I went through that contract dispute and I didn't have an agreement with the owner of the company, I got out of it. And I wanted to go into media relations, sports information. And that was, I want to say 2016. I don't know. When you get old, it starts to all run together. But it was right around that time. And I got out of radio and television. I didn't have a job. I just got out of it. And I was interning and volunteering at 4 Division I universities. Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky University, Wright State, and Eastern Kentucky University again. And I was living out of my car. Literally, I was living out of my Trailblazer and doing every odd job I could to get to break into media relations. And I did everything from videographer to writing stories to social media to stats to whatever it was they needed me to do, I did. And I did that for about 4 months as a volunteer, went through my savings, slept in my Trailblazer to make things work financially. And then I ended up going back to school, got a master's degree, was a graduate assistant at Morehead State University in Eastern Kentucky. And when I was there, I've been a U8 football fan since 2006, 2007. And I talked Hawaii into existence because ever since then, I was like, I want to go work in Hawaii. I want to live in Hawaii. I talked about that for 10 years. And when I was a GA at Morehead, I had an assignment that I had to reach out to somebody in the business. And I reached out to my now supervisor, Derek Inochi, way back when, and we struck up a friendship. And we talked on the phone and kind of got to know each other a little bit. And then during that phone call, I took a risk and I said to him, hey, if I ever get a chance to come to the island, would you want to sit down and talk in person? Like, sure, if you ever get out here. Cool, I'll see you in 6 weeks. I had no plan to come out here, but when that conversation happened, I'm like, I'll be there in 6 weeks. And 6 weeks later, I flew out here, and that's been about 4 years now, I think, when that happened. And I flew out here. I met Derek, and like I said, we started a friendship, and there's a little more details to that. I'll skip that out, but I ended up coming back to Kentucky. I got a job as a director at Kentucky State University. It's a D2 school, and I was there for a year and a half. Then a casual hire position opened up here, and I was Derek's first call, and we've worked it out, and that's been 3 years ago this February. So it's been exactly 3 years since I made the move out here and jumped out to the islands, and couldn't ask for anything better.
Eric, how do you feel that UH Media Relations, how have they increased their social media content and their presence, and also just the reach that everybody gets to consume UH athletics?
It's definitely took a step up the last couple of years, and that's not to toot my own horn. I play a big role in that, but it's a couple of us that do. Myself and Fletcher Like, who is a part of our team. Him and I have a lot of say on that and kind of what we're doing on social media. And during COVID, we've really put a lot of time, and we've restructured a lot of things. And for anybody that pays attention to what we do on social media, like, this isn't just something that just kind of happens. Like, oh, we have a photo, let's just put it out there. No, there's a lot of planning, and there's a lot of things that go into these projects, and a lot of a thought process of how we want our social media to be. Because what's odd for some, it wasn't odd for us because it's what we wanted to do, was during COVID and everything going on, when there was nothing happening, we dedicate a lot of time to it. And we're one of very few schools across the country that actually had their engagements go up. And what I mean by engagements, I mean comments, likes, shares, retweets, all that stuff across the big platforms. Ours is one of the very few that actually went up 25% compared to the year before. And that's pretty big. That's a big deal in this industry of what we're doing. So what we're doing is working. And there's a lot of influence, but I'm very happy that I'm a part of it, because I actually get the opportunity to be creative and do a lot of different things that really kind of meet what I want in terms of my responsibilities working in our department.
As Dave has mentioned, of course, you're the SID for women's basketball. That's how we know you. But the fact that you were getting ready for for the Big West Conference tournament, that semifinal game against UC Santa Barbara, you hear the tournament's canceled, then the season is canceled. But you had a plan that you've told us before, and I find this so fascinating. You had a plan, and you went to Derek to, like you said, increase awareness, but increase the content and increase how many platforms are being used for social media, and just the amount of content you're putting up. Kind of tell us that large scale plan you came up with.
Oh, we were talking about Oppo Grego. Man, we're getting in the real, like, wooded area of insider stuff. Okay. So Oppo Grego is a plan that we came up with at the tail end of the summer, when we realized that football was a possibility of getting affected by COVID and things changing. So we put together a plan that consists of about 25 ideas and ranked them 1 through 25, of 1 being the easiest thing that we could do, 25 being multiple departments, multiple people being involved, and put details on all 25. Now, some of those 25 we've already done before, maybe 6 or 7 of them, but the rest of them were brand spanking new. And we developed this schedule that would go from September 1st to December 31st in case we didn't have a single game being played. And every single day was planned. Every day of the week had a theme to it of what we were doing to have some consistency. Everything from Sundays being days that we show off the island outside of just the school and campus, to Saturdays being more informative of people. That's where you saw the cooking show. That's where you saw, like, the show that we did on Instagram and Twitter, where coaches broke stuff down and how to do certain drills. Then we did stuff on Tuesdays that showed the educational side of a student athlete, like them talking about their majors, or them explaining something about whatever it is outside their sport. Like, every day had a theme to it and planned out. And that was called Oppo Grego. And the whole concept of it was to give to the university, hey, this is what we're doing. Now, the other part of that is, hey, we're working. People think we're not doing anything. No, here's what our plan is for the next 4 months. And that helped. That kept a lot of us employed, I believe. It helped keep a few people around, and it made a huge difference. It's what upped our game. It's what made UH be seen nationally during a time where there wasn't a whole lot going on. So when we're showing off the island and doing different things, and you see thousands of likes from people all across the country, all across the world, UH isn't just a regional school. I mean, it is an international school that has a lot of influence. So when people see that, they're like, I'm on board with that. And that ends up setting the table up for future recruits and a lot of cool stuff in the future.
Over 30 years of experience of covering Hawaii sports and telling stories can be found with BedrockSportsHawaii.com. Hawaii sports writer Nick Abramo shares his passion for insight, news, and opinions, along with stories and tales in what he calls the inexhaustible universe of athletics. Football, surfing, hockey, yes, hockey, and wrestling are some of the featured content you will find on BedrockSportsHawaii.com.
Not many people know this about you, Eric, but you might be one of the few Cincinnati Reds and Cincinnati Bengals fans that I know of. When you first came out here, was it a big adjustment for those 7 a.m. Sunday morning football games, and also to follow your Reds if they're playing at, say, 1 o'clock Hawaii time in the afternoon?
Luckily, we work in an office where everybody during the afternoon has a game on their computer or their iPad. All of us do. We are working, but we have a game on because that's when the big stuff's happening, especially on the East Coast. So yes, it was an adjustment. Here was the biggest adjustment, Tiff. So I'm in an office right now. Originally, when I came here, I didn't have an office. I sat in the middle of our corridor of an open area, and I'm right outside Derek's office, who is my supervisor and my boss. Well, when the Reds are playing, especially when the Bengals are playing, but when the Reds were on during the day when I'm in the office, I can get vocal. And there have been multiple times where I was watching games. I had my headphones on. I'm trying my best to not be a distraction. But the second Jesse Winker connects on a curveball on the outside, hits it the opposite way, you hear me. And I have to catch myself. Like, I'll go, "Argh!" But that's not what you're supposed to do in an office. But luckily, it is athletic, so there's a little bit of understanding. But there were a couple times where I got some glares from some people going, hey, tone that down just a tad. But it's come to a point now where everybody knows me. Everybody kind of knows my personality and kind of how I go about my business. And they're like, it's just Eric being Eric. That's fine. Do what you do. So it was an adjustment. I will say on Sundays after working football and not getting home till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, those 8 a.m. kickoffs are kind of hard to get up for on occasions. But I tell you right now, I do not miss a game. If it is the Bengals, I don't care how bad they are, I am up on Sunday mornings watching, and I am in the office watching my Reds. I am a diehard Reds and Bengals fan, and I watch every single game.
We are here with Eric Mathews, who's from the Sports Information Department from the University of Hawaii. Okay, let's clarify. I like to clarify the titles and things. Some people say Sports Information Department. Some people say Media Relations Department. Does it matter? Is it a flip of the coin? Is it a day of the week? Is it depending on the theme of what's on social media? What is the appropriate title?
Dave, you trying to tick me off? You trying to make me mad? I hate Sports Information Director. I hate that title. Absolutely hate it. Because no one knows what it is. Only people that know what it is are the three people talking right now. And that is it. No one else knows what that is. And so media relations, people kind of have an understanding of what that is to an extent. Usually when somebody asks me what I do, I'm the Twitter guy. and like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get you. So I don't like SID. I've never liked Sports Information Director. Media relations is fine. Honestly, at this point, the much as the game has changed, I consider myself a content creator. And that's kind of what I feel like majority of us are. It has changed a lot. I will say that when it comes to this business, I'm very, very different to a lot of my peers. And I'm not talking here in Hawaii. I'm talking about general people that are media relations SIDs. I'm a rarity, I think, from what I picked up on personality wise. But I think most of us are content creators these days. We're doing a lot of stuff on social media. We're doing more than just updating record books and writing recaps. That's still part of the gig, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. So if you want my honest opinion, I refer to myself as a content creator.
Sounds good.
Eric, you mentioned Oppo Grego. Do you have a favorite UH project or a post or like a series that you've done, whether you've worked directly with it or not?
I take a lot of pride in Rainbow Roundup because of how that happened. Because here's the kicker, Tiff, is a lot of stuff that we do is influenced by other people. And it's of how to help them or how to meet a standard of whatever it is. Because there's been a lot of stuff that I've been involved in that we've created, that we've done, that's done really well. But Roundup is, I enjoy my podcast, WarriorCast. I really like doing that a lot just because I enjoy interviewing people and just getting to know them. But I take a lot of pride in Rainbow Roundup. The fact that that is a project that started by a former student athlete walking to our door saying, hey, I want to be on camera. What can I do? And I just put it together. And it's like, hey, what if we did this weekly thing where we inform people about what's going on with athletics, rather than them just following a separate account or them looking at a website? Well, we just do it in video format, show highlights, do different things. And we put that together just to structure around her. And she did a great job. Kirsten Sibley, former volleyball player, she did a fantastic job with it. And to the point to where it is now a piece of content that's sponsored and is bringing in money to the department. And it started off as just an idea to help a student athlete do something that was different on our platforms. And it was originally like an IG story thing. And now it is a all three platform, very well put together. And I am behind the camera teaching them, show them how to edit stuff, show them how to structure a script and everything. Just because of my background and how well that's been received, Tiff, that's probably number one that I take a lot of pride in and really happy that we're still doing 2 years later.
You know, when you think of content, as you have really elaborated on, the content that almost everyone is most interested about or asking about, obviously, is this pandemic situation because of how it's affected not only everybody, but athletics. So obviously in media relations, when every sport is seasonal, there's a lot of focus, a lot of media attention, inquiries, stories that come out of that. The content self-generates. But aside from the sport, this is, I guess, one time where there is one topic, the pandemic, that just permeates through everything. Football, basketball, there's going to be something about the pandemic. A game canceled, pandemic, so there's all this kind of stuff, all interconnected with that one subject matter, pandemic. How do you guys kind of handle that? Because that is kind of a different element in some respects than simply, oh, can we talk to coach so-and-so, or can we speak to player X, Y, or Z?
A lot of it, Dave, is communication. It's the biggest thing. Is there's a lot of communication amongst our department, amongst talent like yourselves, amongst coach, amongst players, of, hey, this is our situation. Here's how we're going to work through it. Here's what we're going to do. So there's a lot of that goes on. So it's difficult because how do you communicate when you're used to being in the office every day and you're used to just walking up to somebody and going, hey, just so you know, Dave and Tiff want to have you on this show, or the sports animals want to have you on this show. And that's how we would usually do it. So now you're working all these different avenues to have our coaches, our players be available but also to work around their schedule because everything is so different schedule-wise. So, like, you have all these little things. And personally, like, my strong suit is logistics. I can find point A, point B, connect dots, do all these different things to make things happen. That's one of the things that I've always been very good at. And then the other part of it is, that, like I said, that communication. So you're working with logistics to make schedules match, and then you're working communication, to make sure that Coach Beeman is ready to go. Like, every time Coach Beeman has an interview, you look at her phone 30 minutes before, boom, Eric Mathews. Pop it up on her phone. Hey, reminding you. And that's how everything works, because this is so different. This is so out of the ordinary of how to make it operate. You have to step out of your comfort zone. And that's what this has been for the last 9-10 months, is stepping outside the comfort zone to make it all come together.
What's been the weirdest or strangest media request someone has asked of you or has been directed for you to make happen?
Oh man, I got some strange stories that I have been involved in over the last 15 years of working in athletics. When it comes to this one, there's one that sticks out, probably most prevalent, because the coach that was involved is a really good friend of mine. But this happened when I was at Morehead State. We had a young lady on our women's team and the tennis program no longer exists there. So this has been 5 years ago. But she was very active on social media and also very attractive. And she was getting a lot of attention for being very attractive. And to the point where she was actually getting ranked by these different outlets for beating the hottest women's athlete in college athletics. Ooh. And that's odd and that's weird because you don't view them like that. And you try really hard to not make that stuff, but it was obvious it kept happening. And there was a point where Maxim magazine came to us wanting to have her on to do an interview for an article for her being ranked in the top 50. And that was a very weird conversation to have with a coach and with an athlete of going, hey, do you want to do this? I'm just bringing it to your attention. And that's a very odd conversation to have. But every time the coach and I, like I said, we're still buddies. Every time we get together, when I go back to Kentucky, I go see him. We bring it up and get a laugh out of it. Going, how awkward and how funny was that? Of having to deal with that. So that one probably is the number one strangest one I've had in terms of request. That one probably sticks out the most.
Did she do the interview?
She did not.
Oh.
Which I was surprised, because I'm surprised, one, they didn't go to her first through Instagram and they went through me being their media relations person. I'm glad they did, but at the same time, they never went through her. When I asked her, she said, no, I've never heard from them. And she was like, that's great, but no, I'm a tennis player. That's what I do. I don't want to be recognized for this, which was a great response and a great answer. But yeah, she didn't do it, which I was kind of happy to hear that she didn't do it.
Well, I guess that's, good. I was going to ask, I hope this incident wasn't the reason why the tennis program ended, but apparently not, because she didn't do the interview.
No, it was not. It was not, I promise.
Hey, thank you for some of this insight. And you know what? We got to get together again, because definitely what you and your staff and all those guys at media relations are doing at the University of Hawaii obviously is a little bit more, it's not only different, but it's kind of progressive in terms of how to kind of deal with this pandemic, thinking out of the box. So it's really creative that you guys are doing this, and log on to hawaiiathletics.com to see more of this content. I appreciate you coming on with us, man.
Don't worry about hawaiiathletics.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter.
Oh, that too.
Comment, share, do all that stuff. I want you on social media. You're in Hawaii Athletics, grand. But I want you on social media. That's where all the good stuff
Next level.
Next level. Top tier stuff right there.
All righty, bud. Thanks for joining us. And may Wu-Tang come out with another top hit.
Wu-Tang's for the kids.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
Award-winning Hawaii sports writer Cindy Lewis shares her love of volleyball and other sports topics with her new website, cindylewis.com. After nearly 40 years of covering the top events in Hawaii, Cindy brings her reporting flair and insight to the digital format for all to enjoy. Get the very latest information on University of Hawaii volleyball for all teams, women, men, and beach, from one of the most respected journalists in the state. Go to cindylewis.com and you will be connected. It is now time for Street Cred. I went out to the streets to get the pulse of the people, and for this episode I wanted to find out how much do people really know about the Super Bowl. I found 3 guys who unfortunately could not call 911 fast enough to have me taken away. So let's hear from contestant number 1. Okay, first of all, would you consider yourself a strong football fan, casual football fan, or not even a football fan?
Casual.
Casual, okay. Do you have a favorite team?
49ers.
49ers, okay. What number Super Bowl is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I keep forgetting too. 55. Do you know where the Super Bowl is being played at?
No.
Do you know the 2 teams playing?
Oh yeah, Kansas City and Tampa.
Do you know who the 2 quarterbacks are?
Brady and Mahomes or whatever.
Yes, everyone talks about Tom Brady and his age. He's 43 years old. So he will be the oldest player to ever start a Super Bowl. Do you know who the second oldest was to ever start a Super Bowl?
Oh,
very known.
Bradshaw?
No. He played more recently. Peyton Manning.
Steeler guy. Oh, Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. When he played his last Super Bowl with the Broncos, he was 37 years old. So, okay, here's one that you may know because you said you're a San Francisco 49ers fan. The 49ers played in Super Bowl 19. They won that Super Bowl. Their quarterback was Joe Montana. And they beat the Miami Dolphins, whose quarterback is the youngest to ever have started a quarterback. You know who that was?
Marino?
Dan Marino. He was 23 years old. The Kansas City Chiefs, if they win, they will have won back-to-back Super Bowls. Do you know what team was the last time to win back-to-back Super Bowls?
I'm gonna say the Patriots.
Yep, you're right. I think anybody they just throw Patriots out there, you're bound to hit the target. Yeah, they did it in 2003, 2004. There are 4 teams that have never played in a Super Bowl. Can you name one of them? 2 of them are really old. They've been in the NFL since almost the beginning, and the 2 are kind of younger teams. I mean, they kind of got started more recently.
Houston Oilers, or whoever they are now?
I'll take that as a correct one. Houston Texans are one of them. The others were Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here is contestant number 2. All right, let's start with some easy stuff, or hopefully easy stuff. Where is the Super Bowl being played?
I believe it's in Florida somewhere, I think.
Yes, Florida. Would you know the city?
Tampa?
Yes, exactly. Tampa Bay. All right. If Kansas City wins, they would be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since who was the last team to do it?
Is it the Patriots?
Yes, it was the Patriots. By the way,
it's the New England Patriots.
Okay. Assuming that was the case, there are only 4 teams that have never played in a Super Bowl. Can you name one of them?
Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yes, it is Jacksonville. What is the TV network that will be covering the Super Bowl?
CBS?
What number Super Bowl is this?
Oh, gosh. 57?
Close.
I have no clue.
55, and I have to always research up the Roman numerals because I can't remember what the L stands for. Can you name one of the head coaches?
I think I could do both. It's Bruce Arians and Andy Reid.
Okay, we talked about Tom Brady's age. Which of those 2 coaches is older?
Is it Reid?
No, it's Arians. Arians is 68, Andy Reid is 62. Can you name the colleges that Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or both went to?
Brady went to Michigan, and I think Mahomes went to Texas Tech.
Yes.
Or something. Yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
Got both.
And now contestant number 3.
Would you consider yourself a strong football fan, casual, or not even a fan?
I'm going to have to say strong, because casual, I wouldn't get so upset when my team loses if I was casual.
What is your favorite NFL team?
Oh, it's tough. Tough being me. I'm a Vikings fan.
Vikings. All right. There's always hope.
There's disappointment with Super Bowl season and 4 defeats. But anyway, go ahead.
Just like Buffalo fans, it's getting there, right? It's getting there.
But that doesn't help. Sorry, man.
Okay, we'll start with this one too. For all Minnesota and Buffalo fans, there are actually 4 NFL teams that have yet to ever play in a Super Bowl. Can you name one of them? I'll give you a hint if you want.
Carolina Panthers?
No, they actually played. They played recently where Cam Newton was the quarterback and they lost to the Broncos.
Okay.
The 4 were Cleveland, Detroit, Jacksonville, or Houston. What number Super Bowl is this?
52?
Close. It's 55.
Dang.
55.
All right.
What? Where is it being played?
Tampa.
Tampa Bay. Okay, bonus. Do you know the stadium it's being played in?
Joe Robbie? But I think that's not called that.
Well,
That dates me.
yeah, that's actually the one in Miami. The one they're playing at in Tampa Bay is Raymond James Stadium. You know, there's all this talk about Tom Brady being the oldest quarterback to start a Super Bowl. How old is he?
42.
He's 43 actually. So that's that's a win right there. The 2 quarterbacks are Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Who is taller?
Well, I spent a lot of time talking to both of them, actually. But they're both close to me. That's all I got to say. I have to look up when I talk to both of them. I'm a little annoyed at it, too. I would say Brady.
Brady, yes. By the listed heights, Brady is 6'4", Mahomes is 6'3", but, you know, with age there comes shrinkage, so I don't know if that has taken into account.
And cold water.
And cold water, yeah. Do you know who's performing at halftime?
Oh, I may have. Yeah, The Weekend.
Yes.
What am I like? 2 for 20?
Here's one you
say I'm a casual.
Here's one that you're definitely going to get correct. What is the favorite food that you got to have at a Super Bowl party?
Strawberries and cream. Wait, no, that's one.
Sorry. I thought that was crackers and cheese, no?
Beer.
Beer?